Hello and welcome back to the Sautéed Kitchen. I'm Samantha Graber, your host. Today we are doing what I would say is probably a family favorite in many households, and it is a low-carb version of a green bean casserole, complete with crispy fried onions. Believe it or not, they're pretty low carb, especially in the amount that we have it on top. So we've already pre-done much of what we're going to be making for you today. I'm going to heat up over here, so meet me over at the stove. Let's get this started. We're going to heat our butter so then we can do our onions and our celery. This is a very precise measurement. Just going to put that in here and let her do her thing. All right, while we're waiting for that to heat up, I'm going to get our rosemary and sage ready for us. So this is kind of a fun little contraption. It's one of those things that I never knew even existed until I found it. And then all of a sudden I couldn't live without it. You know how that goes when especially when you're at the kitchen store. So it's just this neat thing. You'll be able to watch me up here. Just pull that through and it takes some of these out. It's a little herb stripper. And I don't need a whole lot today, so I'm going to just take this amount. And the neat thing about rosemary, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can put that in some water and then reroot it and then plant yourself a new one. And my God, does it just smell so good. I can't go buy a rosemary bush without touching it and then smelling it. Oh, maybe it's just me. All right, so let's get this together. I'm going to get all the woody stems. Sometimes it keeps some woody stems in there. So we'd already pre-chopped the celery and onions, and the garlic is ready to roll. So once that butter heats up, we can put that right in there. I think I need still a few. So the old-fashioned stripper is just your fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Get a little bit more in there. I kind of err on the side of more herbs than maybe a recipe calls for at times. Just because, I don't know, something about the aroma, especially around Thanksgiving, like pie and sage and all that good stuff. Okay, get that one. And then we've got some dried sage, but I'm also going to chop up some fresh sage because I kind of feel like if you can get some fresh, go for that. Here we go. Another one that, gosh, it just smells so good. Okay, so I don't know. What about you? Is a green bean casserole, is that something big on your family's list? You know, when you get it in the stuff already made in the store, the cream of mushroom, there's just so much junk in there, you know, and I just feel like if we can make it ourselves, why not do that? And what we're doing here is just taking the base from our chicken mushroom soup that we made before, and we're just using the mushroom part, and that's what I'm put together first. Now, if you haven't seen that video, we'll have to link that in here, but also you can request our recipe so you can get a handy dandy printed sheet. And this way you can make this any time of year, really. We have a recipe share that has, boy, I don't know, I think we're up to like 18 or 19 recipes at this point. The entire month of November, we did Thanksgiving swaps. And in December, we're going to do things that you might take to a holiday party, and then probably a couple other things in there as well. All right, let's see how this is cooking up for us. Let me grab something to cook with. All right, oh, that's nice and melted. Okay, so I'm going to bring in our garlic, our celery, and our onions. Here we go. Okay, I'll let this scent and aroma take over. We just need a 1/4 cup, but I'm going to give a little extra. Feeling a little extra. And then about a good 1/4 of an onion. And that should be our good amount. So whenever we have leftovers of these always go into something else. Like I'll probably do a chicken salad tomorrow, and I've already got my celery ready to roll for that. Probably do a little onion in it as well. Okay, so I'm going to let this sweat it out. Cover this. And now we just wait for everything to do its thing. So I'll be back in a few minutes. See you in a second. Okay, this is looking good. I'm going to bring over our mushrooms. Okay. Okay, now this is going to cook quite a bit of water out. It's interesting how much water mushrooms have in them. I'm just going to do that, and then let's get our herbs. All right, how to do this without stabbing myself. Another nice thing about this, got a little reservoir. I'll put that in there and that in there. Perfect. Okay, we'll let these guys sweat it out in the sauna for a little bit. And again, I'm putting just a bit more than the recipe calls for, just because it's already cut up and ready to go. And I feel like, you know, adding a bit more of the veg and the aromatics never goes wrong. So let's get our parsley ready to go. Fun fact, the rosemary and the parsley is from our very own garden. Super proud of that. Super proud of that. Okay, so we don't want to do the stems. We just take the really leafy part off. Another fun fact about parsley, it's great for cleaning your mouth, and it's a carminative, I believe, so that means that it helps with digestion. So it's not just pretty, it actually has purpose. See, you didn't know you were going to learn stuff, did you? And I believe it's coming to my head that it's got a decent amount of vitamin C. Don't quote me on that one. But I think for some reason it's coming to my noggin. In over 54 years, I have learned, or I've crammed a lot into this noggin, and sometimes the most random little fun facts come up. I don't know if you're like that too. Sometimes I can't think of the exact thing that I'm trying to think of right now, like every time I try to remember the word compost, but I can remember silly things like, you know, vitamin C and parsley and carminative. I don't know. Fun stuff. All right, I don't think I need the parsley quite yet. Keep stirring this up. That smells so good. One of my favorite parts of tabbouleh is all the parsley in it. Yeah, that smells so good. And I don't know if it just smells better because we grew it, or the fact that it didn't have to be shipped all over the United States or all over the world to get to us. Something about just being right and fresh. All right, so we've got a few moments. I'll be right back. All right, that's looking pretty good. So don't necessarily need to deglaze much because I don't have any stuff sticking there. So I'm going to add just a little bit of the cooking wine. The glazing, from what I understand, is just to get all the good cooked bits under. So maybe if I was using some sort of a cast iron and there was some good crispy stuff on the bottom, we would want to deglaze a little bit more. But I'm not. All right. 2 cups of broth. So we had some of this already in the fridge. Go ahead and get rid of that. Oh, so close. Don't want to overdo it. All right, so now we're going to let that boil and boil about 15 minutes. Boil, then simmer. So I'll be back in 15, but I'm not going to make you sit there and watch for 15 minutes. Just hit pause and then go ahead and fire her back up. All right, back in 2. Ready to continue. Add the heavy cream, dust with xanthan gum. Yeah, so the key with xanthan gum, this is like a thickener, and it's a low carb version of the thickener that we want. So we're going to put our heavy cream in first, get that stirred around, and then just do a nice dusting of this xanthan gum on top. Just give it a little thickening. Now, of course, you can measure it out with a little 1/4 teaspoon at a time, probably. But I usually just go in with the old built-in pinchers, give myself enough, and then just kind of roll it between my fingers. We'll do 2 of those, then we'll let it start to thicken. And the stuff is super fine. And then when it gets wet, it's kind of jelly, and that's how it ends up doing the thickening. Okay, so I'm going to just gently move it through. Okay, call that good. And because this is very attracted to water, you want to make sure you seal this really nicely. Okay, so I pre-steamed the green beans because they're fresh, and I wanted them to have just a little give to them. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to transfer those to our casserole dish. So we just created our own little steamer by having the water in the bottom and got it to a full boil. And then I put the green beans in there, the fresh, raw green beans in, and then just kept the top on. And it created a nice, like I say, just a nice enough give to this so that they're not mushy, because I don't really like the canned ones. I know a lot of people use the canned, and that's fine if you're canned, but I like them fresh. So now I'm just going to pour the soup on top of this, and we are going to have ourselves a fabulous low carb green bean casserole. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit in there. Then now I'm going to mix half of the cheese with this. Let me put it over here again. So this will melt in it a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and I want to put the parsley in. Okay. We put that in the rest of that soup. I'm just going to pour it down the middle so that we have a nice distribution of the herbage and the mushrooms, and I'm just going to mix it up real nice. Now I probably could have put the beans in the soup and then just mix that all out, but because of the the liquidity of the sauce, it was going to end up like this anyway. We'll do that, and I'm going to put the cheese on top, and then our crispers, our crispy onions. Let me preheat our oven to start now. Okay, we like using this tabletop or countertop Ninja air fry / convection oven / reheat / dehydrator. It's really a great tool. No, we're not sponsored by them, but we are not opposed to it. So I'm going to give this a moment, put the rest of this cheese on top, and then put the pièce de résistance, crispy onions, everyone's favorite part. Now, this is the stage that I would stop if I wasn't going to be serving this tonight, but we're going to go ahead and eat this tonight. But if we were taking this to our Thanksgiving or, doing that at home, I would end here, keep the cheese off of it, this last part of the cheese, and I would just put that on when I was ready to cook it. Because that way they don't get all, kind of mushy. The fun part about the crispy onions is in the name, crispy, right? So let's keep that here. The other thing I like about that oven is it heats really quickly. Okay. And then now we're just going to put this guy on top. So interestingly enough, the carbohydrate count on this is really low. So for 2 tablespoons is 3 grams of carbohydrate. So I feel like it's worth it. And this is this serves 6 people. You can break it up a little bit if you want. You can make sure they're, good. Okay, so if you had oh my gosh, so good. So I'm gonna add a little, I'm not going to do any salt because these are salty enough, but I am going to add some pepper. What the heck is going on over there? Miha's getting her evening crazies. She's kind of like a toddler. She wounds up and then all of a sudden she's passed out. And that is the time of night it is. All right, that looks really good. I'm excited about this. Okay. All right, so into the oven for 25 minutes. I'm going to check it after 25. I might allow it to go a little bit longer if needed. And then I'll give it a taste. I'll let you know what I think. All right, back in a minute. All right, so we're going to get this out. Mistakenly thought it was going to be 25 minutes, but it was only 15. And now we want to see that these are nice and brown and the cheese is all melted, and it is. So we are ready to roll. Oops, I'm gonna let that just thicken up just a bit as it cools off. And then I'll let you know what I think. All right, so now it is time to try our yummy concoction. Let's put this here. I'm gonna grab a couple green beans and some of these onions. Let's give it a go. And it's a little more liquidy, soupy than I would prefer. So I think instead of, I would just give it more time when it's boiling at just the broth, or maybe put a little less broth in it. But it looks pretty good. Let's try it. Mm-hmm. Mm. I'm really glad we went with fresh. They taste good instead of mush like the canned ones. And doing the steaming or blanching them ahead of time, perfect. So they are the perfect consistency. Again, like it could be just a little less liquidy. We could have probably used a little more xanthan gum, maybe given it more time to just thicken up between stages. Otherwise, an amazing low carb version of a family holiday favorite. I'll see you next time. Until then, take good care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.